In Greek mythology, Icarus is the son of Daedalus, King Minos's architect, who built the labyrinth for King Minos to imprison the Minotaur. In reality, the father and son were Minos's prisoners, imprisoned in a tower. The clever father plucked feathers from the birds that landed at the window, and over time, gathered enough to build 2 pairs of wings for himself and his son, Icarus. The 2 escaped, but father warned Icarus not to fly too high. The prideful Icarus didn't listen. He flew so high, the heat of the sun melted the wax in his wings, and he plunged into the ocean. Since then, men dreamed to have wings like Icarus, and after so many attempts, finally the dream came true last century, to fly. The birth of our aviation history in Colombia dates back to May 1911, when Colombians Carlos Rosas and Ricardo Castello attempted unsuccessfully to fly a Blériot monoplane over the city's savannah. 7 months later, on December 9, 1912, and 8 years after the Wright brothers' historic first flight, the American George Smith flew his Baldwin biplane over Santa Marta, reaching an altitude of 1,000 meters. Only 3 days later, on December 12, 1912, he flew again, this time over Barranquilla, considered the cradle of Colombian aviation. On January 26, 1913, George Smith went back to the skies, this time piloting his plane over Medellin. The milestone marked the beginning of a series of flight shows that set the stage for an ongoing evolution of aviation in Colombia. A few years later, in 1916, the Colombian Aviation Club was founded with the support of pilot aficionados, which included Mr. Carlos Obregón and Mr. Ulpiano Valenzuela. On June 18, 1919, the American William Knox Martin carried out the first airmail delivery, flying between Barranquilla and Puerto Colombia, using the first plane ever assembled in Colombia, a Curtiss Standard named Bolívar. On September 26th of the same year, Guillermo Echavarría founded in Medellin the first commercial aviation company of the Americas. His enterprise, the Compañía Colombiana de Navegación Aérea, the Colombian Air Navigation Company, operated with a fleet of 4 single-engine Farman F-40 planes and 1 twin-engine F-60 Goliath. Later that year, on December 5, 1919, the Colombian-German Society of Air Transport, SCADTA by its Spanish acronym, was established in Barranquilla by 5 Colombians and 3 Germans, initiating their operations in the same city with 2 Junker F-13s at the Veranillo port. The country's military aviation was born on the same year, later becoming the Air Force of Colombia. The year after, on February 15, 1920, the country's first hangar and airstrip were built in Cartagena. A few days later, on the 22nd of February, the first commercial flight took place between the Colombian cities of Cartagena and Barranquilla. April 29, 1920, saw the first aviation accident when an F-40 plane called Cartagena crashed in the city of Barranquilla. The year 1920 witnessed another first on November 14, 1920, when the first airplane operated by SCADTA landed in Bogota. In 1940, SCADTA became Avianca, today the oldest airline in the American continent and the second oldest in the world. Colombia can boast of another first, the establishment of the first airport infrastructure, Techo, in 1929, both in the country and in South America. Other airports like Medellin's Las Playas on July 5, 1932, and Barranquilla's Soledad in 1936, now Ernesto Cortizos Airport. In 1954, Decree 3269 brought about the creation of the Colombian Airports Company, ECA by its Spanish acronym, which would later join the Department of Civil Aeronautics Administration. now known as Aeronáutica Civil. Bogotá's International Airport, El Dorado, the most important in the nation, was inaugurated on December 10, 1959. Its opening marked a new era in the country's airport infrastructure organization, which now comprises 75 public airports, 17 of which